Relentless Radio.
What's up, family? Relentless here, and we're talking multimedia. In this series of 5 interventions, we'll call them, I'm talking about the 180 degrees, the full circle of multimedia that you need for your message, for your initiative, for your product, for your service, for your brand, for your relationships, all of the above. You need to have full circle of media going on. So what are we talking about when we talk about full circle of media? Okay, so we're creatures of habit. We are human beings. We have senses, those 5 senses. We are all alike in that way. Nobody's different. I don't care how much money you have, how many cars you drive, how many homes you claim. When we were in school, we were taught about our 5 senses, right? We were told that we can smell with our nose, we can touch, we can taste, we can see, we can hear. So how do we reach those 5 senses with our product, with our service, with our initiative, with our brand, with our message? How do we touch human beings and those default processes? Well, in multimedia, we do it in numerous ways. There's only 4 ways, though. Be clear. One of them is in writing. That is also the most inexpensive way. And that is also the least sought after way. Especially, well, it depends. That depends on what the person is doing, the end user. If they're jogging, they may not be interested in reading. If they're driving, they may not be interested in reading. If they're skydiving, they may not be interested in reading. I'm being extreme, but here's my point. If you're driving, audio may reach you better than, say, video or reading. And you can't smell anything while you're driving. If you're deep sea diving or swimming, I've seen people swim with earphones in, so they swim with music. Podcasts are reachable to the swimmer, if that's the case. Check it out. If you're bedridden, all 3 of those devices, the written, the audio, the visual, may come into play, may reach you as an end user. So I say that to say that if you are the creator, if you are the business, if you are the messenger, if you are delivering a product, a service, an initiative, if you're trying to reach an audience with any messaging, then you're going to need to do it in numerous ways. 1 is through written word, 2 is images, 3 is through podcasts, 4 is through video or film. Those are the 4 ways. There's no way around it. There's no way to now inject people with your message. Not yet. There's no way to cast messages through air. Like you can look at a person at a gas station and send them a message. No, that's not happening. Not yet. But what is happening is that we are able to reach people with the written word. We are able to reach people with images. We are able to reach people with audio, and we're able to reach people with video. I mentioned all of this in my overview in the first podcast. The second podcast, I talk about the writing. The third, I talked about the images yesterday. Today, I'm going to talk about the podcast. But before I go into the podcast, I'm going to give the resources for the imaging. One of the most important resources for me for imaging has been Canva, Canva, canva.com. You can create images on Canva through your cell phone and also on your desktop computer and on your tablets. So the cell phone and tablet has a different app for Canva. They have different images. They have different. There's a different delivery. Also, Rippy has been good for animating images. So you can also get Rippy. Rippy, RIPI, is a great app. Yeah, it's a paid app. $10 a month they want. So you better put that to good use. Canva is free. Canva is free until you use their images. When you use their images, they might try to hit you with 50 cents or $1, and it all adds up for them. That works for them. That's their working model, at least right now. PicMonkey is good. They've been around for a minute. I get I make sure that I pay that $5 a month or what have you to get the full version. WordSwag, another big one, big app for me. WordSwag, because not only can you create words and on your images, but you can also export the transparency of the words that you create, the wording that you create, the titling that you create. You can export it and use it on video. Oh, WordSwag is amazing. Another app I use is Doodle, Doodle. Doodle allows you to do a lot of Photoshop work on your imaging on your cell phone. Of course, there's all the apps that allow you to upload photos like Flickr and Instagram and all like that. Go ahead and dive right in. But make sure that you do images and do them right, because people are watching. And go ahead and look at the most watched, most viewed images on Instagram. Don't be okey-doked and don't fall for the smoke and mirrors, because a lot of Instagram is phony. A lot of Instagram is fake. It's up to you, the conscious consumer, to decide what's real and what's not. And that comes with a history and experience that I can't give you in one podcast. Tune Camera is also another great app that I use. I'm going to make sure I put these screenshots of my apps on this podcast so that you can see all the different apps that I have going on, and that, if you want to use them, go ahead. But let's get into podcasting. So folks, when I create a podcast, I go in with an agenda. I decide I'm going to talk about a specific subject, and I go all the way in. I focus. I make sure I'm in a quiet environment, and there you have it. You can do it on a micro recorder. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your computer with a headset. But podcasts are very, very, very important. And I upload my podcast to numerous platforms, but I use Spreaker, and I pay in to the Spreaker platform. I invest in the Spreaker platform because I find that to be a great device to deliver the content. And then you go ahead and get it on iTunes and on Reverb Nation and Last FM and all these places that enable you to put podcasts. But guess what? You can also put your podcast on YouTube. So YouTube has become more than just a video channel. They're also an audio channel. But people don't look at it for that. But it's there for that. You can actually buy into YouTube. I buy into the $10 a month option, and you get a whole lot of little extras. And one of the extras is that you can actually shut down your YouTube, not the app, but just sort of, how you can close the YouTube app or minimize it and go into another app, and it'll still play the audio from the video. It'll still play the audio that you're listening to. You can still be consistent with that, regardless what you have to do on your phone. So YouTube has become that go-to place that you can just get video and audio from. So I create my podcast. I make sure that I get certain sound effects. My sound effects library is pretty huge. but you have to know how to edit and manage and manipulate sound, guys. It's just that's what you got to do. You got to learn to edit, manipulate, bend, fold sound. And I've done that over and again and become a master at it. Just like a lot of you guys that are my friends that are in radio. You know how to do that. And if you don't, that's something you need to learn how to do, especially if you're in radio or if you were in radio. A few of my friends that have been in radio have now understood that they needed to expand their brand and could not just rest on the idea that they are a radio host. And they had to go ahead and create new brands. And so podcasts is a way to maintain your voice in the marketplace. It's a way to update. It's like a newsletter. It's not visual newsletter, but it's one that's audible. Allows people to listen on the treadmill, listen in the car, listen at work, listen in the elevator, listen walking through the streets. Podcasts are very powerful. It's just part of the equation, though. Don't expect to create a podcast and make $1 million. Do not expect that. You have to have so much more in place to do that. You have to have a fellowship. You have to have marketing dollars. You have to have all that stuff to make your podcast come to life. But you can bring it to life for your smaller audience. And your smaller audience is a powerful audience. Indeed, they're influencers. They'll share and spread the word about your podcast. Go ahead and start your podcast. Reach the audio version of you and I. We are human beings and we like to listen. We like sounds, whether it's thunderstorms that affect us or buzzers or car horns or doorbells or phone rings. We are affected by sound. So get in the sound game and don't make excuses. I'm going to drop resources about podcasting tomorrow in the final part of my Media Mayhem. I created Media Mayhem or this little series because I love my sister and I want her to have the jewels and the resources that have enabled me to do podcasts, to do media, to do all of these things. Of course, I had to be savvy, I had to be taught, or I had to learn these things. But today, anything that I know is taught also on YouTube. So go on in, get your media on, experience Media Mayhem. Thank you for listening today. This is Relentless Radio. I'm Relentless Aaron, relentlessaaron.net. I love you guys. And be safe.
I read Relentless Aaron's books. One of my friends in Houston was actually working promotions for Aaron. She was walking around the mall with no clothes on, and I wondered why. But when she started telling me about the books, I was like, I've got to read this. When I read it, it was a mix of an Eric Jerome Dickey Sister Soldier sort of thing that was so raw and real and talented in a way that was definitely, the words jumped off the page and wrapped me up in the story to the point where I couldn't put it down until I finished all the reading that I had to do. I mean, he's dynamic, he's awesome. If you don't have his books, you need to get his books. If you're tired of every other black author that's telling you the same story, you need his books.
Relentless Radio.